Hello, hello. Welcome to LinkedIn Marketing Minis. I'm Karen Yankovich, and I'm here with you every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern with a simple little LinkedIn marketing strategy to help you move your business forward, hopefully without a lot of overwhelm and stress. Just some simple tips that just build more ease into your business and can help you have more impact, influence, and income. I'm live today on my Facebook business page, my Facebook group, which you have not yet joined us in. You should join us at linkedinforwomencommunity.com. I am live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. So if you're with me live, I'd love your questions or your conversation, your engagement on this. If you're watching on the replay, I will still respond to you. Just be in, obviously I'll respond to your comments when I see them. And if there's something that you'd like to have me talk about that I haven't yet talked about in this series, and by the way, you can binge watch them now at marketingminis.com. If there's something that you would like to hear me talk about that I haven't yet talked about, just drop a comment below or send me a DM, and I'm happy to talk about that. In fact, today's topic is one of those topics. So yeah, I love getting your questions because again, we're on like day 40 something here, maybe even almost hitting 50, right? So I'm running out of topics. So I'd love your ideas. Anyway, I've got more topics. I have no end of topics, just to be clear, but I love your topics. So I'm not just babbling. I'm not here to just babble. I want this to be valuable for you. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about how to craft a LinkedIn strategy to position yourself as an informational keynote speaker as opposed to a motivational keynote speaker. And it's an interesting question because I kind of feel like it's easier to position yourself as informational than motivational. But if you have that question, then obviously you don't understand that. So to me, this is why it's good to get your questions, because I wouldn't have thought that is even something to talk about. And the reason for that is if you're a motivational keynote speaker and you're like, I'm going to teach you to manifest or how to have more, work on your identity, all of that's important, right? Like it's definitely important. I talk about a lot of those things. So I'm certainly not dissing any of that stuff. But when you have a topic that you are expert in, now you can be really seen as an expert in that topic. And that's what you want to lean into here, because not only can you be seen as an expert in that topic, but you can then position yourself with the corporations or conferences that are looking for that more of what you talk about, right? That informational stuff that you talk about in their events, right? In their events. So as far as I'm concerned, I feel like it's easier to position yourself as informational than as motivational. But either way, and I think, by the way, I think you could probably be a little both, right? I think you could probably be a little both. You're probably, if you're a speaker, hopefully you're also a little motivational as well. So the first thing you really need to do, though, is obviously start with your profile. And, if you guys haven't yet done this yet, I actually, let me share this with you because I don't share this here a lot. I actually have a very low-cost LinkedIn profile training at linkedinprofiletraining.com. If you need help with your profile, go to linkedinprofiletraining.com and just do it. And I say that I created this training because I'm kind of tired of talking about your profile. I feel like by now, if you don't know that you need to have a great LinkedIn profile, I don't know, you should know that by now. So hopefully you have a great LinkedIn profile. If not, check out linkedinprofiletraining.com and I'm happy to help you out with that. Again, I made it like stupid easy because I want to move on to the strategy. But when you are creating a compelling LinkedIn profile as an informational speaker, you want to talk about that. You want to use the keywords of the topics that you speak about in your profile over and over and over and over and over so that people know exactly what you do, right? And the reason I say that I think sometimes it's easier to be informational than motivational is because the more you can niche down what you talk about, the easier it's going to be to get these speaking engagements, right? When I first started speaking, like probably 15 years ago, when I was really doing more like on stage type stuff, my business was kind of social media in general. And when somebody needed a speaker for their conference about social media, my name got thrown in with 100 other people. And I was grateful that my name got thrown in, right? When I started to niche my business down to LinkedIn, now when somebody was looking for a LinkedIn keynote speaker or a LinkedIn speaker, now 20 people would say, call Karen. Instead of me being thrown in the pool with 100 other names, Now 100 people will say, no, you need to call Karen. And when I niche down even further to really supporting women on LinkedIn, and guys, if you're listening to this, I support men as well. I just think women need to feel more included with these strategies. I'm not trying to exclude anyone, but if there is a conference for women that is looking for a speaker on branding and LinkedIn and PR, now hopefully 1,000 people say, oh, Karen Yankovich is the person you need to call, right? So that's why when you're creating your profile, you want to lean into the keywords for what it is that you talk about, because that is how you start to show up and get known more for that, right? But it starts with you. You have to do that work first. So LinkedInprofiletraining.com gets you to that. Also, if you want to know what it looks like to get some help with this, every single thing that we offer here in Karen Yankovich Land starts with us writing your LinkedIn profile for you. So happy to just grab a spot on our calendar, and the link is scrolling below at KarenYankovich.com/call. Okay, so now you want to do some strategic networking, right? You want to think about like, who are the people you need to speak to? And I'm going to call out Brian Fanzo on this, because I interviewed Brian Fanzo for Good Girls Get Rich a couple of years ago now, probably. And he had such a brilliant, and the reason I did was because we both geek out a lot on how valuable LinkedIn is. And one of the things that Brian said, which I thought was so brilliant, was if he wanted to be like a keynote speaker at, say, Microsoft, right? He knows that there's a lot of competition for that. And by the way, these are probably $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 gigs, right? Maybe even more. So this is not like a $5,000 keynote talk. This is a high-end keynote talk, right? He would start networking with the people around that conference, like in 2023, for a conference that he was hoping to get booked at in 2025. Okay. Now, of course, there's a short game to this as well, but you want to be thinking about, who are you building relationships with, and start now building relationships with the people that run these events, right? And by the way, because what he was able to do, what he also said, and if you Google Brian Fanzo Good Girls Get Rich, I'm sure that the episode will come up. But one of the other things he said, which I thought was so brilliant, was he would also be tagging them in posts before he even started following the company page, and be talking about them like, oh my gosh, I just watched his virtual talk at the Microsoft conference and blah, 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 right? So he'd be talking about them. So when he connected with them, he'd say, oh, I talk about you guys all the time. And when they checked that out, he was right. Right. So he really plays the long game really, really well. Okay. So think about that. I mean, I can tell you, I've done this with the short game. I'm always looking at conferences that I think could use more, use the kinds of talks that I do. And I build relationships with the conference organizers, and I get booked on conferences this way. Okay. So you definitely want to be doing strategic networking around this, thinking about the conferences specifically that you want to speak on. And by the way, there's conferences for everything. There's conferences for like women who slop pigs in Milwaukee. I don't know if there's pigs in Milwaukee, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like there's crazy conferences, right? And they pay people for speakers. So think outside the box when you're looking for these conference opportunities, and when you're looking to network with people who run these conferences. And then, of course, your content has to be aligned with this. Not every piece of content you put out there, but you need to have content aligned with the kinds of things you speak about, so that people can see that you have this credibility, and they can already build that know, like, and trust, or as my mentor says, know, love, and trust sense with you, right? So that you are, you're kind of harnessing the power of that content, and you're establishing yourself as a thought leader, and you're promoting informational talks. Maybe you've done talks already, right? So share snippets of that, right? Do stuff like this, do some little videos like this, so people can see that you are somebody that they want to have on their stage, right? And then again, but doing this specific around the topic that you speak about, because you're informational, not motivational, right? And then you want to engage with your audience, right? You want to engage with your audience. You want to engage. Certainly, I'd be engaging with the conference organizers. I'd be engaging with the conferences you want to speak at, right? Definitely, I would be doing that if I were you. These are the kinds of things that set you out, these kind of custom LinkedIn strategies. These are the kinds of things that set you apart and will get you these gigs to speak at these conferences. And informational speakers, they're paid well. They're paid well. So you can do this for you as well. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that answers your question. And I am here to support you in any way that I can. I will be back here again tomorrow with another topic, and I look forward to seeing you then. Take care, everyone.